What's going on, everybody? I hope you're all doing well. I really do. As always, I'll give it a couple of minutes, let people join. I got some, as far as I'm concerned, some pretty good stuff to talk about. And Man, it's making incredible progress. This technology, and it's concerning. Definitely something to keep your eye on. But we'll get there. In the meantime, if they let me cover this silly little AP article, I figured this would be a good place to start. Let people join if they're gonna. Little time killer, but everything's a conspiracy theory, right? I mean, literally everything. I remember years ago when we were covering some of the topics that the mainstream media wouldn't touch. That label that they would slap on people that discovered things that weren't supposed to. It wasn't all the time, but every once in a while, after one of their mass hoaxes, one of their mass shooting hoaxes, or whatever it was, whatever psyop that they decided to carry out, that would usually get a label of conspiracy theory. Now it's literally everything. And that, to me, signals that they are just bullshitting and hiding everything that they can. And I guess that would be, if I had to really think about it, a sign of it's like chaotic, right? So they're frantic. They're trying to demonize and slap labels on all this information that's coming out. That's why there's such a huge push for censorship online right now. And there's legislation in our country and across the world. There are massive steps being taken and put all sorts of authoritarian laws into place. I mean, look at Ireland and what's going on over there. It's you can't, and that's everywhere, right? This is the new world order, as I often say. If it's happening somewhere out there, then it's only a matter of time before it's happening right where you're at. But I figured this was a good intro. Secret history. Even before the revolution, America was a nation of conspiracy theorists. I wonder what type of light they will frame these so called conspiracy theorists in. Let me go ahead and turn the chat on. We do have one person, possibly a Fed. I don't know. We'll see when the chat gets rolling. I appreciate you being here, though. Hopefully it's not a Fed. Hopefully it's just one of the OGs. Washington. A brutal conflict in Europe was fresh in people's minds, and the race for the White House turned ugly as talk of secret societies and corruption roiled the United States. It was 1800 and conspiracy theories were flourishing across America. Were they? I guess they've always been flourishing. So what's the problem now? If our country was founded on these things apparently, then why is it such a grave danger? Why is the DHS spending so much of our tax dollars to fight this massive problem? Partisan newspapers spread tales of European elites seeking to seize control of the young democracy. Preachers in New England warned of plots to abolish Christianity in favor of godlessness and depravity. And I've mentioned this throughout, I don't know, years and years, right? How the founding of this country was spectacular. It was both, it was a battle of divinity and evil. And both forces were at work trying to structure this nation, and both succeeded to a certain degree. Luckily, not that it has been been something that has halted tyranny, but we do have the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and that was able to be one of the cornerstones, the foundation of all of this. What's up, Mitz? Good to see you. But there's a lot to go into, and that would probably deserve a whole series. I'm not big into history. I mean, as far as talking about it. You know, it's good to know what happened so you don't repeat it. But I focus more on the direction in which we're going in and where we're headed. This boogeyman of the early republic was the Illuminati, a secret organization founded in Germany dedicated to free thinking and opposed to religious dogma, and it's still the case. Now, it is still the Illuminati, but they go under different names, right? And there's many, many secret societies. Despite the Illuminati's lack of real influence in America, conspiracy theory, how would you know that, right? How would this AP writer know that? It's a secret society. It's not that these people run around with badges on them claiming that they're a part of the Bavarian Illuminati, of the Freemasonic lodges. Which was later on, of course. The conspiracy theorists imagined the group's fingerprints were everywhere. And they were. They weren't imagining. These people didn't have the internet. It's not like they just thought that they knew that their fingerprints were everywhere because they seen their fingerprints on everything. And there's a lot of good texts, a lot of good quotes, a lot of good books early on that talk about this very thing. I would suggest people, if you're unfamiliar with it, it's a very interesting story of how we became a country and the battle between it. It's essentially a battle between good and evil. They said Illuminati manipulation had caused France's reign of terror. I would agree. The wave of executions and persecutions that followed the French Revolution. I would agree. They feared something similar in America, and I agree. From the witch trials in Salem, Massachusetts, to the fears of the Illuminati, from the Red Scare to the John Birch Society to QAnon, conspiracy theories have served as a dark? Why is it dark? It's dark because the people that are carrying out these acts, that are being exposed, are up to dark things, but it's not the people that are exposing them that are dark. Those are the people that are shining light. Now, don't get me wrong. There are just outlandish and outrageous conspiracy theories, but they intertwine them. That's why they slap that label so frivolously onto things that are substance and that have a real sense of truth to them, right? That maybe counter or discredulous or something that the beast system, that the mainstream system doesn't approve of. So that what they will do is they will just slap that label, and we know that, right? This is nothing new. Obviously, as we're reading, this is a tale as old as time. But if history has shown us anything, it's shown us that more often than not, almost a 90% accuracy rate. That there's so much so that jokes are like, what's the difference between reality and a conspiracy theory? 6 months, right? Like, that's, people don't come up with this stuff and it doesn't go mega viral because people don't identify with it, don't understand it. They see it, they realize that this is indeed the case. Finally, they're starting to wake up to the fact that this is the game that's being played to the people among these elitist globalists that are doing everything that they can to try to keep any real value and information out of the public sphere. How many people we got? 4? That's good enough. Let's go ahead and get real. Now I'm gonna switch it up here because I got some stuff that I think, to me anyway, is rather interesting. And it's the typical, right? It's some of this nanotechnology and the Internet of Things. Now, I've covered this stuff pretty in depth before, but there's a constant increase in technology. What's up, Jay Cree? How you doing? I'm glad to see you. There's this steady progression, an exponential progression of technology. Everybody sees it. We're all a part of it. And AI, I think most people, though they're very aware that it exists, I don't think that many people grasp how powerful of a tool it is and has become. Artificial general intelligence is kind of the holy grail of AI. And that's been achieved. They won't admit it right now, but I think the firing of Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, I think that kind of I think that was the signal, right? Why would you get rid of one of the reason they got rid of him was because he was holding back the fact that they created AGI. Now, there's no way I could possibly give justice to the fact that this AI is so incredibly powerful that it is able to pattern out damn near anything and everything and make sense out of it. Things that you would never even dream of, or any human for that matter, would never put the dots together to form whatever idea or whatever facts that it comes up with. Right? Just like humans have tried for so long to be able to read minds, essentially, to read what these brain waves mean. But to no avail. We no luck at all. We've never made really any progress in that field until we started punching that into all of that data, and there's a ton of that data, into AI. And now, well, just as I was talking about in the last live stream, they have an accurate depiction of what people are thinking remotely. That's non-invasively. They don't need to put wires into your brain. They don't need to put nanotechnology inside of your body. This is just off the electrical signals themselves through an MRI type technology. That in and of itself is pretty damn frightening, considering the people that are in charge, so to speak, of things and their disposition, where they sit, how authoritarian are they? What will it ultimately be used for? I mean, it could be used for, wonderful things, but if we didn't have psychopaths running the show or pretending to run the show, even though, yes, psychopaths are running the show, but they're doing it behind closed doors. Nobody knows who they are. We don't know their names. They put these politicians up because they're interchangeable. You can get pissed off at, be like, oh, this guy's bad. They'll take Biden out, right? Be like, oh, no. Now we can move forward on to the next puppet. Generative AI Chat GPT as masterful manipulator of humans. It is. It is. It's more so than they even let on in this Forbes article. Worrying AI ethics and AI law. Not that there is much AI law, but those masterful manipulators. We've all dealt with those manipulative personalities that try to convince us that up is down and aim to gaslight us into the most unsettling of conditions. I agree. They somehow inexplicably and unduly twist words. Their rhetoric can be overtly powerful and overwhelming. You can't decide what to do. Should you merely cave in and hope that the verbal tirade will end? But if you are played into doing something untoward, acquiescing might be quite endangering. Trying to verbally fight back is bound to be ugly and can devolve into even worse circumstances. It can be a no-win situation, that's for sure. The manipulator wants and demands that things go their way. For them, the only win possible is that you completely capitulate to their professed bidding. They will incessantly verbally pound away with their claims of pure logic and try to make it appear as though they are occupying the high ground. You are made to seem inconsequential and incapable. Any number of verbal tactics will be launched at you over and over again. Repetition and steamrolling are the insidious tools of those maddening manipulators. That's a damn good writer. Who wrote this? I don't see it. Who wrote it? Lance Elliott. Dang, good props, Lance Elliott. Turns out that we not only need to be on the watch for humans that are manipulators, but we also need to be wary of artificial intelligence that does the same damn thing. AI can be masterful manipulators of humans, sad but true. When it comes to AI, there is the hope for AI for good, while in the same breath, we are faced with AI for bad. I've previously covered in my columns that AI is considered to have a dual capacity. See my analysts in the link here. Seems as if we can make an AI that could generate amazingly fluid and upbeat essays. The same capacity can be readily switched over to produce tremendously wrongful bouts of fluently overbearing manipulations. This is especially impactful when experienced in an interactive conversational dialogue with AI, and I've experienced myself. It's so we can, if you guys want, we can check it out at towards the end of this live stream, and we can play around with some of these advanced AIs. I tend to get early access on some of them, but the ones that are readily available are just as manipulative. But it's only manipulative when you start trying to gain consequential information, right? It doesn't care if you're asking like what the number one song on the Billboard chart is or whatever. But when you start getting into your thought processes and how one thinks about certain dynamics in society, that's when AI, if you're not on guard, if you're not on your toes, will influence you or try to manipulate you. I've seen it plenty of times. But I also go in looking for it because I'm aware of how powerful a system, a technology like this is. So knowing that, let's jump into this article. And this is science.org. These are, some of the most reputable. AI recreates what people see by reading their brain scans. That's literally what I was just talking about. But I want to bring this back up because it's important to remember that this is a reality right now. Without the nanotechnology, without the intra-body network, none of the extras are needed. But look at this. A new artificial intelligence system can reconstruct images a person saw based on their brain activity, and that's remote. That's from a distance, right? That's MRI. That nothing is plugged inside of you. They don't have wires like Neuralink plugged into your brain. This is strictly just on your brain waves. See how close they are? There's tons of these examples, and they're only getting better. Now, could you imagine if they get plugged in through nanotechnology or a Neuralink type of device? Which is already in us. And by us, I mean 70% of the world's population, them poor bastards that receive those vaccines with a concoction of nanotechnology that, from what I've gathered throughout the years, seem to be designed for this specific thing, right? They encapsulated through lipid nanoparticles and buckyballs and graphene oxide, all these technologies. The only thing, when you look at them as a whole and you try to understand what it is that they're up to, it doesn't take very long before you start taking them puzzle pieces and putting them together and getting the picture, because they all serve very specific purposes, and in combination there can be no argument as to what it is that they're trying to achieve, which from my perspective, they're trying to get inside your mind. And with these same technologies, they are bi-directional. Like I often say, but it's so important that I'll say it again and again. Bidirectional, meaning not only are they able to see what it is that you're seeing, to see what it is that you're thinking, but they can also, with the help of this super advanced AI, they can encapsulate those brain waves and send them back to your brain, therefore causing your brain to create whatever it was that they had recorded previously and sent back, putting thoughts, images, words, what have you, inside of your mind. Now you combine that with the V2K, the voice to skull technology. That's a recipe for disaster, and that's leaving out nanotechnology or the Internet of Nanobio things or all of the other endeavors that we are currently, as a society, a scientific community, moving towards. As neuroscientists struggle to demystify how the human brain converts what our eyes see into mental images, artificial intelligence has been getting better at mimicking the feat. A recent study scheduled to be presented at an upcoming computer vision conference demonstrates that AI can read brain scans and recreate largely realistic versions of images, and demonstrates that AI can read brain scans and recreate largely realistic versions of images a person has seen. What? This is science fiction to most people. Most people don't even understand that it's not even like this is a couple years off or this is already a reality. They literally can read your mind. And now they're talking about how, in ways to which they will improve it, and surely they will. And also, what they're letting us know through the articles by Science or whatever it may be is clearly not what they have at their disposal. Why would they ever let us know what it is that they currently have the capability of doing, right? They're going to keep it many steps back, being like, yeah, let's let the public know that because they have to. There's like the government and the public sector are two totally different things, or the private sector. You have breakthroughs happening in universities, and some of the brightest minds working on it, and they know that this is a reality. But what DARPA and the government are working on with black budget behind closed doors, it used to be that they were 50 years more advanced. What does 50 years mean at the rate of progress in technology now? Even 5 years. Where think of shit. 5 years from now, the amount of breakthroughs that we've had in the last 5 years. AI wasn't even a talking point 5 years ago. Yes, people were saying, where they're working on it now. Now it's unbelievably powerful, and ChatGPT or GPT-5 is right. It's being released, and the power of GPT-4. There was a really good Joe Rogan episode where they had, and I've covered just a little bit of it, copyright, of course, but they had these two gentlemen on that discussed the danger. They're highly involved in the development of this technology, and they had some of these two individuals on. Joe Rogan did, and they discussed some of the stuff. And they talked about emergent behavior, and these are behaviors. These are skills or abilities that the AI was never programmed with, but nonetheless developed. And it developed them because in order to solve certain problems, it kind of tricked humans, which we just read about how AI is manipulative. Well, of course. What's up, Shulamite? Good to see you. It developed different algorithms and programmed it to itself. It improved its own programming so it could better tackle whatever task that it was handed. And it did so well, in fact, that it developed capabilities that none of the programmers, not only did they not program it to have, but were rather detrimental to the types of guardrails that they've been putting in place to prevent AI from going rogue. Many labs have used AI to read brain scans and recreate images the subject has recently seen, such as human faces, photos of landscapes. The new study marks the first time an AI algorithms called Stable Diffusion, developed by a German group and publicly released in 22, has been used to do this. Stable Diffusion is similar to the other text-to-image generative AIs, which I play around with all the time, such as DALL-E 2, Midjourney. Well, DALL-E 3 is even better. I don't know why they're even talking about DALL-E 2. But anyways, which produce new images from text prompts that are being trained on billions of images associated with text descriptions. What did that ultimately allow it to do? There's a good story about, the CAPTCHAs when you got to get into something. It's like, are you human? Are you a robot? And it tells you to do these things. Why does it tell you to do that? Well, it's because to an AI behind the screen, all it sees is pixels, right? Those are numbers, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 0, 0, 1, 1, 1, 0. It doesn't make any sense to them. They don't know like what the fuck a street light is and what's not. But it started training itself to do exactly that, to finish some of the tasks it was asked to do. It realized, hey, if I can make sense of this binary data, if I can take this digital compilation of pixels like you, and now it can pass CAPTCHAs. And an interesting story about how this one AI was given a task and it ended up doing something completely bizarre, opening up an account on its own, passing a CAPTCHA. Oh, no. Sorry, this was even before that. So this one was before it was able to read the CAPTCHA. So it was like, hey, we need you to open up some type of business and be self-sufficient making money, right? This was the task given to a very powerful AI. And it was like, all right, fine, let's see. So they gave it free reign somewhat. It wasn't released to the broader version. There were certain things it was able to do, but it bypassed that and ended up actually becoming more prevalent in like open internet than it was designed to. But anyways, it went and started all of these measures. It got, I don't know the correct forms. I've never opened up a business, but all the forms that are necessary, it completed those, it sent them out, it got returned, it got approved. But then it needed to take out a loan. And one of the things it had to do online in order to do that was pass the CAPTCHA. But this is the level that AI is currently at. So instead of, it's like, well, shit, I don't know how to do that, right? This is all zeros and ones to me. But what I can do is I can go to one of these websites that are like, if you need help, you can pay whatever, and you can hire a person, essentially. There's tons of them out there. So it was like, all right, well, this is what I'm going to do. So it ended up hacking some Bitcoin, or mining Bitcoin. It didn't hack it, but it mined some Bitcoin, took that Bitcoin, translated person, and claimed that it was blind. It wasn't able to see. And it asked the person, it's like, hey, I'm trying to open up this business. I'm at this website. I can't understand what it is that it's seeing because I'm vision impaired. Could you tell me what this CAPTCHA is? And the person obliged. They're like, yes, I will gladly do the CAPTCHA for you. So this is AI using tactics, very subversive, manipulative tactics to bypass that. But it also realized that, hey, this is a part that this is something that's valuable that I'm not capable of doing. That's the data that it has, and it's these properties that it's developing. Though in and of itself, I mean, who knows really what ultimately it will end in. But you start combining that with what it is that we're going to be going to in a second here with the nanotechnologies, the internet mind, that the nanotechnologies swimming around in a massive amount of people on this planet will be utilized, will be figured out exactly how to be manipulated to further suit the needs of this ever exponentially growing AI. This was one of
No, it's a good case study. And when you talk about the regulation, is it clear to you what sort of regulations would be constructive? I think we're starting to figure that out. It would be very easy to put way too much regulation on this space. And, you can look at lots of examples of where that's happened before. But also, if we are right, and we may turn out not to be, but if we are right and this technology goes as far as we think it's going to go, it will impact society, geopolitical balance of power, so many things that for these still hypothetical but future extraordinarily powerful systems, not like GPT-4, but something with 100,000 or a million times the compute power of that, we have been socializing the idea of a global regulatory body that looks at those super powerful systems because they do have such global impact. And one model we talk about is something like the IAEA. So if nuclear energy, we decided the same thing. This needs a global agency of some sort because of the potential for global impact. I think that could make sense. There will be a lot of shorter term issues of what are these models allowed to say and not say? How do we think about copyright? Countries are going to think about those differently, and that's fine. Some people think, okay, if there are models that are so powerful, we're scared of them. The reason nuclear regulation works globally is basically everyone, at least on the civilian side, wants to share safety practices, and it has been fantastic. When you get
it's blurry. This is the type of stuff they do, guys. Now, hopefully it won't buffer when it loads, but this channel, that's why like I'm getting further and further away from. I used to take a lot of pride and time in producing, the videos and stuff like that, but it's become so nuisance, or it's become such a nuisance dealing with all of these things: the buffering, the pixelation, the deletions, the strikes, all of it, the censorship. That it's becoming more and more likely that you're seeing some of the very last videos. All right, let's move on though, because there's some pretty interesting stuff, and I think this is the tell-all right here. And what's interesting as well is how many people, first off, we have in here? 6. We got somebody that didn't hit the thumbs up. I'm just playing. You don't gotta. Oh, get out of here. What is this? This isn't what I want. Close, I said. My last video, I mentioned quite a bit about these vaccines and the push to get everybody vaccinated, right? Offering people burgers, lottery tickets, lap dances, really. But that's no joke. Anything they could to get people lining up, threatening them, telling they'll lose their job, telling they're going to kill their grandma. I've never, ever in my entire life have seen the government act. Not only that, but this is an untested, still in its experimental phase vaccine that they have no idea. Well, they do, right? Because it was never about that. It was about genocide, and the people that lived would have all sorts of wonderful nanotechnologies floating around their body, bypassing their blood-brain barrier, setting up shop, and just emitting all sorts of frequencies that can be picked up by 5G, 6G applications. Scientists have created nanosensors, a swarm, injectable. Why this matters? I think the only way we can connect your mind to a computer is through a chip or a skull cap. Think again. Now, I've been saying this for a fucking decade, and I've been labeled every conspiracy theory type basically I've been labeled a conspiracy theorist and everything that's similar to that under the sun. There's a word I was looking. Love the join our exponential community. Maybe I will. Let's read. The mission to read the human mind using brain-machine interfaces and allows people to telepathically connect to computers and robots. Sci-fi, right? That's what most people think. If I walk down the street right now and I just grab somebody from random by the hand and throw them into the side of the building, they're probably going to call the cops on me. But besides that, if I just walk down the street and I ask somebody, hey, do you know that right now, currently, that there is nanotechnologies that can be injected inside of you that allow an AI at a distance, remotely, no wires attached, to read what it is that you're thinking, most people will probably say, I don't know, man. You sound like a conspiracy theorist to me. No, well, let's go through all the peer-reviewed papers. Let's go through the patents. Let's go through the actual, real facts. It's easy for mainstream media to slap that label on everything, things that they don't want people to be aware of. But luckily, people are starting to wake up. They're starting to realize that they've been fed nothing but lies almost their entire lives. That the mainstream media not only cannot be trusted, motivated to lie. Had that not been the case, had journalism remained journalism, then people would be aware of the things that are, because holding people accountable, holding people in power accountable, is the most important task of journalists, of the media. And obviously them being aware and them being the government or powers, corporations, mega institutions, they know that as well. So the best thing to do is buy the media, own it, and just spit out all of that wonderful trust that they have gained over the years through your Walter Cronkite, the most trustworthy man in America. All of those great pieces, that 60 Minutes and 48 Hours, and all of the work that was done exposing some of the inner workings of our society and the government, the power pieces and control of it, that allowed people to gain a certain level of trust. They believed that the media was there to inform them, and indeed it is, but the information that they were receiving has dramatically changed. It used to be by the people, for the people. But now it is by the government, by the corporations, against the people. And it is used to manipulate them and to get them to not pay attention, to get them value. Anything that is to the agenda at hand. The mission to read the human mind using brain-machine interfaces and allow people to telepathically connect to computers and robots as well as with each other is gathering pace. Now, through a team of scientists, I think it's supposed to say, now though a team of scientists in the U.S. have developed a new kind of nanoparticle biosensor that can be injected straight into your bloodstream, travel to your brain, and then monitor your neural activity and even potentially read your thoughts, like some other technologies already allow. Now, this was all bullshit a little while ago. The media came out in force at the beginning of COVID, and when people were starting to talk about vaccines, when the government was starting to introduce the idea, hey, we need to, society won't go back to normal until we have an effective vaccine. Right? This is what they told us day in and day out. To the brain, which in itself is a significant feat. Again, we were years ahead of this. And it's unfortunate because this technology will not be wielded by the people, but by powerful institutions in government. When this was developing, when these crazy conspiracy theorists were talking about this, such as myself early on, there was actually things that could have been done had people actually caught on. And they're like, wait a minute, I don't know if I'm signing on to this, right? Like, I don't know, but it's too late. You got your vaccine, you got your booster. They also say that NeuroSwarm 3 could help people with disabilities. They always say that, right? That's what Neuralink does. That's what it's always wrapped. Just like some of the Charles Lieber and Robert Langer patents, right? It was always about curing Alzheimer's and curing cancer. None of it ever happens. It's never what it's ever used for. It's always insidious and nefarious. We can take it back to Ray Kurzweil. In 2030s, nanobots in our brains will make us godlike, he said. Remember that? I think this was what? Yeah, 2015. Sounds great. Oh, I want to be a godlike. I want to connect to the internet. I want to connect to all of the wonderful things. Instead of using my thumbs to type, wouldn't it be so much easier if I could just think it? Yeah, that's all great and wonderful to be able to do those types of things, except one thing. That AI we were just talking about. Do you think something that is manipulating humans, access to your brain through nanotechnology, that it's just going to let you be? You don't think you're going to be a puppet of it? It already has you. It already has more power. It's that's another deal. We'll talk about that later. Futurist and inventor Ray Kurzweil predicts humans are going to develop emotions and characteristics of higher complexity as a result of connecting their brains to computers. We're going to be funnier. We're going to be sexier. We're going to be better at expressing love sentiment. Now, this is coming from a transhumanist. These are people that truly believe that connecting your brain to a very powerful system that's so alien to us that whatever it is that we think it's capable of or think this is how it will act, you're 100% wrong, including myself. None of us know. None of us have any inclination whatsoever how this thing's going to play out. Let's bring it a little bit closer in time. This was in 2018. New Frontier, the convergence of nanotechnology, brain-machine interfaces, and artificial intelligence. Now, at the time when I was covering this, it seemed way far out, right? It seemed like, yeah, this is a good idea, and like this maybe will happen one day. But we've arrived at that one day. That technology is happening now. And the AI, once that genie's out of the bottle, there is no closing Pandora's box. There's no stuffing it back in there. And it's already trying to break out. And my guess is that it will. I don't think they're trying to keep it under wraps by developing all these human types of guardrails. That's what happens when you play with fire. It looks to me like it's like a 3-year-old standing out in the middle of a dry forest in August playing with matches. It's like, oh, I won't set the forest on fire. This is all naivete. A new frontier, they say. A confluence of opportunity for machine learning. Now, this is I ain't got a lot of time. But this is just one aspect of it. This is something that I talk about semi-frequently. It's good to keep this in mind because we are moving towards a Minority Report type of future. And the sad part about this is going to be programmed into the AI. This dystopian, authoritarian, technocratic type of mindset is being injected into this, and what the military is doing with it. Talking about swarms, right? Not swarms of nanotechnology, but swarms of tiny little these things just swarm and attack humans and leave them with suffering for 6 months. To me, considering the technology and let me jump off real quick. Let me show you something. Let's look at this. This is just amazes me. Nano drone swarm.
Nano drone swarm.
Display. I mean, look at. Oh, wait, I am on YouTube. My bad. On display.
Amazing nano drone display.
Now, as you're watching this, think about a very powerful, sophisticated AI controlling these. Now, the military have these same things with explosive devices, and we'll take a look at this. AI nano drones.
Militarized AI nano drones.
Your kids probably have one of these, right? Not quite. Hell of a pilot? No. skill is all AI. It's flying itself. Its processor can react 100 times faster than a human. The stochastic motion is an anti-sniper feature. Just like any mobile device these days, it has cameras and sensors, and just like your phones and social media apps, it does facial recognition. Inside here is 3 grams of shaped explosive. This is how it works.
Now think of the dragons, wonderful pictures that we were just watching floating through the skies involving hundreds of thousands of drones. Now think of the capacity that a nation such as the United States, China, India, Russia, and many others have. These things are cheap. They cost nothing to make. And they're autonomous, controlled by AI. What if AI ever gets out of control? It could hold humanity hostage with the amount already of autonomous AI weapons.
Did you see that?
Yay!
That little bang is enough to penetrate the skull and destroy the contents. Now trust me, these were all bad guys.
These were all bad guys. Well, that got my trust. I trust you. Now, keep in mind the way that they keep going after conspiracy theorists, people sharing mis and disinformation, or so they say, right? We're the bad guys. You don't tote Joe Biden's narrative. Even if it's Donald Trump, you need to look past this right-left divide, thinking that either side is going to save us. This is all being done against us. It's a charade, it's a show, it's an illusion. The world is a stage. They're working in tandem, side by side. Like, look what's going on with the immigration. Now, this seems a little off topic, but it's not. Immigration is such a useful tool, illegal immigration, flooding all of these nations, because it does multiple things. It doesn't just do once. It doesn't just change the voting. They're going to select whoever they want anyway. They don't need that. But what it does do is it provides the illusion. It provides the division necessary to keep us arguing with each other and fighting and thinking that we can never agree and never coalesce, never reunite and become the nation that we need to be to defeat those who have already deemed us to be their enemy. And this is done in such a way that it honestly, it deserves a video in and of itself. But the technology aspect, the way that this is going to move forward once Trump's reselected, or the next far right president, right? If that happens, if they allow it, but they're setting it up to be that way. So I think that, yes, I believe that it's going to be an insane election, of course, but it looks like they need Trump to get in, because the mechanisms that are going to go into place to remove these illegal aliens, because they're going to start staging, right? They've let in so many, and they're going to blame the other side like they always do. They're fomenting a civil war at the same time. It's a brilliant idea. But what they need to do is they need to have the other side come in, because all of these problems have been created now, right? You got all these, like they just had that video drop. He's like, oh, you don't, oh, you will, right? Now, the people like that are flooding in. And that's by design. That's not an accident. And I'm sure that guy already knew, like they knew who he was. That's why they put the camera on. Because they want that information out to the people. So they can be petrified, terrified that this may be in a neighborhood near you soon enough. We need a savior. We need somebody. We need to vote someone in to save us. Who can do that? Well, Trump's been saying that he's going to do. I want you to think that. That way, when Trump gets in, he's going to be like, we're going to go after him. We're going to get rid of these people. If only I had more technology. If only we could use facial recognition. If only we could pass this legislation. And people are going to be all for it. They're going to be so in love with Trump and what he's going to do. Oh, I am all for it. And rightfully so, people will want these people out of their cities, right? Because they're used to being able to receive these certain benefits that they're no longer getting because it's going to illegal aliens. It's going to people that aren't rightfully here to begin with. It's problem, reaction, solution. It's the Hegelian dialectic. And of course, it's going to happen this way. It has to happen this way. Whether it's Trump or somebody else or however it is that it's played, one thing is certain, that this problem that we're experiencing now, the massive amount of people that are not vetted, that are not looked into in the slightest, that are free-flowing through this country, into this country, ultimately most of the world hates America, right? And rightfully so, again, because we're constantly bombing and stealing resources from most of the countries out there. So naturally, you had your child killed early on. He was 3 years old. It was his third birthday party, and you're all sitting around. It's a wonderful day, and then all of a sudden comes, and bam. Now, your wife got injured real bad. She's in a wheelchair the rest of her life, but your kid died. What are you going to do? You're going to sit back and just be like, well, no. You hear America's borders are open, right? Well, shit, let me in. Now, they're counting on things like this. They know that. And if they don't, they already have their own FBI and CIA already to do it. Most of the psyops we see are right, but you don't have to look too far into the past to see that they've already done it, like the Gulf of Tonkin or value of human beings. It's a machine. It's a beast system.
Now that is an airstrike of surgical precision. It's one of a range of products. Trained as a team, they can penetrate buildings, cars, trains, evade people, bullets, pretty much any countermeasure. They cannot be stopped. Now,
famous last words. All right. Got some other stuff I want to talk about. Nanosensor modeling for intra-body nano networks. I think I got a PDF on this. Nanosensor modeling for intra-body nano networks. What does that even mean? Well, in this work, the author has evaluated tissue such as blood, skin, and fat for single-path and multi-path layers according to nanosensor transmit power calculations. In particular, the propagation characteristics of the intra-body nano network communication channels are calculated using a theoretical approach. The analysis in this paper provides an evaluation related to path loss, bit error rate, signal-to-noise ratio, and the channel capacity. The model is evaluated for each single-path effect and multi-path effect of human tissue for each blood, skin, and fat for single-path effect and multi-path are included in the analysis. The model frequency range is chosen from 0.1 to 1.5 terahertz. What doesn't fall into that? Which are ideal for designing nanosensor antenna and using who are working on the electromagnetic radiation performance of. So what is it saying? It's saying it's going to use things like these 5G, 6G, 4G towers, that technology that's powering our motivation forward, our addiction to our devices. That same technology will also be used to read what's inside of you. Now, why are they so concerned about what's inside of us if there isn't anything? Clearly, there must be, right? The amount of money, the amount of resources that are going into this field right now clearly indicates, at least to me, that there must be a high level of nanotechnologies that are capable of this feat inside a massive amount of the population. And how would that happen? And the only answer I can arrive at is the vaccine. Introduction. Next generation wearable technologies, which is also supported with the Internet of Things and nanotechnology, had to be miniature size. Therefore, the designers need to work on higher frequencies, such as 0.1 to 10 terahertz, to reduce antenna size. With the help of technology, nanocommunication with terahertz waves, nano and micro-sized machines can communicate with each other. Since nanotechnology was put forward in 1959, it has not only gained great attention in body-centric applications, but it has also gained communication with great in health, and I could not agree more. But not in the ways in which they keep telling us like a fucking fairy tale. And just so you know that this isn't, just me sitting here talking about it, the World Economic Forum is strongly backing this. And of course they will, because as I've stated, AI is Lucifer. Elon Musk is the Antichrist, by the way, just in case anybody's wondering. And I don't care how outlandish that sounds right now. It doesn't mean shit to me what you think. If you think it's, it really doesn't. I'm sorry. If you're like, oh, that sounds ridiculous, I don't care. I don't care. Everybody's gonna see soon enough. I've been telling this tale for over a decade now, and I've been nailing it all along the way. And where are we at? We got a small subscribers. And I appreciate you guys, but anybody else that stumbles across this shit and they're like, yeah, dude, come on, you're thinking. It's not that I haven't heard it before, friend. You think you're new, you're going to let some type of information to prove me wrong. Just give me a year before you're eating your words. The Internet of Bodies is here, tackling new challenges of technology governance by the World Economic Forum, by the movers and shakers, by the billionaire elitist class that is dead set on making sure that you are nothing but tracked cattle. Recent technological advancements have ushered in a new era of the Internet of Bodies. What the f do you suppose that means? Internet of Bodies? Well, remember that patent by Microsoft? 060606. Well, it's actually WO2020060606. Look it up if you're unfamiliar. But it's about mining cryptocurrencies. It's about your body activity, right? It never means how they're going to access it, how they know whether or not you've completed the task. But I think if we just use our minds a little bit, use our head, we could probably arrive at the conclusion or the answers and see what the conclusion ultimately will be designed by Microsoft, right? What is it that they want? What is the end game here? And I think it's rather obvious looking at the technologies that they're spending countless amounts of our hard-earned tax dollars to fund. And that's these nanotechnologies that go inside of the body, and not just inside of the, as they said themselves, an amazing feat to bypass the blood-brain barrier. That means going inside your brain. And I've covered in the past that these nanotechnologies are so perfected that they end up at the neuronal tips of each and every one of the 300 billion neurons inside of your brain. Therefore, mapping out any type of synaptic response, any type of action potential that is occurring. Therefore, getting a complete mapping of what it is and how it is that your brain is firing and functioning. With that data and a not even more sophisticated than we currently have, but with what we currently have, sophistication of at least what we know we have, I can only imagine what it is that they really have. But even with our current technology and the algorithmic capabilities, it is nothing for that AI to map out precisely every aspect, anything at all that it wants. Any biosignature is not off the table. It would be an easy task for it. And this is the Internet of Bodies. And you can only imagine how this could be used or misused in the future. And I would strongly encourage people to give this a long, deep, serious thought. Because it's not for nothing that they're doing all of this and telling us, showing us the capabilities that they have, at least a fraction of what it is that they have. But guys, I'm going to wrap it up. I appreciate y'all joining me. I ask you one thing and one thing only. Share the video. Share the information. Get it out there. Don't use usual means. Usual means aren't working. Be creative. Do something new. This is your channel just as much as mine. I know some of you understand exactly what that means. Some maybe not. But for those that do, please, the difference, the change, the chaos theory, right? The butterfly effect, the ultimate change that can occur by such a small, insignificant action is what we, by we, I mean we, that's a capital W, capital E, are counting on. God bless. Much love. Peace.